All right, what's going on, y'all? This is Extra Biscuits from Biscuits and SEC. This is our new show on YouTube that we're doing. We launched it because we can't fit everything into a single hour every Wednesday night on Biscuits and SEC Live. So right now we're going through all 16 teams before we get to the season. And tonight we've got Oklahoma. We're doing somewhat of a home and home here. I was on the Sooner Smiths, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, with Tierani and with Chad. And so we had a good time. We were talking Texas A&M Aggies. So I figured it would be the right thing to do the home and home and have them on to preview the Oklahoma Sooners with us. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks.
And thanks for coming on our show a couple weeks ago. It was awesome.
Absolutely. It's always fun to do a home and home. So I want to just get right into it with you guys. But before we do, I want to make sure that everybody goes and follows you guys over at the Sooner Smiths podcast. Okay. So they use their socials, their personal socials here to do most of their production and pushing out social clips. So go check them out. Chad P. Smith on X. If you want to, you can pause this screen right here, screen record it, take a screenshot. Make sure you guys go follow them for all of their Sooners coverage for the voice of college football, Oklahoma. They do a fantastic job covering the Sooners. So, all right, let's get into it here. I want to just throw this up here. We do a biscuit index every year. I talked to you guys a little bit about it on your show. We do it out of 12. The Sooners this year, I gave them a 9, and that means you guys are like basically right on the edge of the elite, right there with A&M. Both made the playoff last year, and hey, one more year of 10 wins plus, one more year making the playoff, get a playoff win, something like that. You're talking 10 biscuits, 11 biscuits. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit and ask you about the vibes. What are the vibes going on in Norman? How is the Oklahoma fan base feeling going into 2026? I feel like they got to be kind of high. I just saw literally today, a couple hours ago, Brent Venables gets an extension. So I think Sooners are feeling pretty good about where this coaching staff is, where this team and where this program is headed. So talk to me a little bit about what you're thinking, what the vibes are with the fan base in 2026.
Yeah, I think they're high. Again, it's kind of weird because of the recent news, but I think before that even came out, a lot of OU fans are trusting of Brent and the vision he has and where he has the culture of the team going. For me, that extension it's almost an unfalsifiable premise of if it makes sense or not, because it depends on how the year works out. What I think they believe is, and this requires a little bit of backstory, and 2022 when Brent came in, Lincoln goes to USC. Brent comes in at December after the portal had already closed, so all you have is one portal window when the majority of a lot of players are already out. And you're basically just trying to learn to fly the plane while it's taking off. And there's really he's trying to fill a roster. So a lot of the guys that played that year would never suit up for Oklahoma in it's like nowadays, for example. 2023, you come around, you have a fully healthy team that has all the players available. You win 10 games, you beat Texas, and you have your guys sit out in the bowl game, but it's bowl games nowadays who really jots those up too much. Then 2024 comes, and this will sound a little bit like excuse making, but I have the distinction between me is an excuse versus a reason. If I'm supposed to run the Boston Marathon tomorrow and I break my ankle and I can't run, my biggest rival in marathon running can't say, well, that's just an excuse, Chad. It's like, no, dude. There's a little reason why I can't run. And for people that didn't know, which I don't expect a lot to if you don't follow it, Oklahoma had the worst season of injuries of any college football team in the history of this sport in 2024. And why do I say that? It'd be bad if you had a couple injuries on one side of the ball that were starters. Oklahoma had 9 on the offense only. And there's not a team in history, I don't care if it's Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, anybody, that would lose 9 starters on one side of the ball, including your top 5 wide receivers. We had a 5'8", 158 guy in Zion Reagan's starting games for us. We had 4 true freshmen on a receiving core that was top 10 on Pro Football Focus heading into the year. All 5 of them set out. Not one of them played the entire season. Probably like half a game the first. I don't know. In general, none of them played. Then you look at 2025 comeback, and you're healthy again, even with John getting the injuries, and he has a 10-win season. So I think they looked at it and said, look, what's more likely to be repeatable? The injury situation in 2024, you're not having to restart the program in 2022. What do we see as more repeatable? And that's with, when Brent has his team and they're healthy, they're pretty good. They're at least 9-10 wins probably. And you're banking on that continuing. And if they do that again this year, and let's just say they hit the lotto and home run and they go to an SEC championship or win a national title, they'll look like geniuses for only paying him $10 million for the next few years. Because other than that, with Sexton as his sports agent, who we all know, Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, all those. He's the best, greatest of all time in that arena.
Shark.
He would have got. I think he's Signetti too. I believe he's Signetti. He would have got him $13 million a year if that were to happen. Now, granted, the chances of that happening are what they are, but I think that's what Denny and a lot of the coaches, or at least the front office, thought when they did the extension. And for Oklahoma fans, it's fans. A lot of them, I could say this, they'd be mad that I give the excuse of the missed wide receivers and the missed players. But to me, it's just, it has to mean something. Like, starters are starters for a reason. You go from a guy like Nick Anderson that coming in year, who was a preseason guy that was on a lot of lists, a Jalil Farouk, a Deion Burks. None of those guys play. Now you got true freshmen that were really backup guys, and it really just kind of cascaded from there. You have injuries on the back end and running back, and then obviously on the defense as well. But Brent has turned what I think you need in the SEC to be successful, the defensive side of the ball, into, I've always said, whether or not it's the best in the country, whatever, it's in the conversation. And when you're in that conversation, you're good enough to win any game and travel any stadium. And that's where he, to me, has really changed the focus of Oklahoma from as good as Lincoln was beforehand to that style of football struggles when you play physical, or play a physical opponent, and they can also score a little bit. We saw that in the playoffs over and over, where now I think a defense can keep you in all the games. Obviously, the offense is going to have to turn around and do better. But I think that's Brent has turned Oklahoma into someone who's respectable on that side of the ball and can really. I think the offense obviously is going to turn around this year too. Sorry, I'm trying to talk because she's having to handle the young one. But yes.
Well, I heard Drake. He definitely agreed with everything you just said.
For sure.
He's like his dad. He's good. Yeah.
There you go.
He just watches film all the time. It's fine.
But just me, I'm a huge Brent believer. I said it whenever he was hired. I said 2025 is the year I'll judge him. You got to let him recruit and get his guys in, and then develop. Even with the portal, and Cignetti's kind of made every coach think, every fan base kind of jaded, but. That's an aberration to me. I don't know if that's very repeatable for a coach to turn it around that quickly.
I think too. Also, they just genuinely like Brent Venables. Mm-hmm. It's hard not to like him. Like, you hear him talk, and it's just a good human, a person that loves football, and the ever-changing landscape of college football, which seems to be always changing for the bad, to actually have some stability and know you're going to have stability and know you're going to have consistency. When we've also had a revolving door of coordinators, it's nice to know that something's going to be consistent, and that's good for recruiting. That's good for, parents, because parents, they're leaving their babies with, these coaches, and you're trusting them. And exactly. And so I think just the vibes are high on Brent. And if you talk to any former players that have met Brent, if you talk to the players, they all love him. I mean, and if you love your coach, you're going to play harder for him. So I think that's just from, like, I guess, an emotional side, not, the number side. But yeah, I don't know. I could have gone either way with it. I could have said, hey, wait to see how this season goes, and I'm fine with the extension too. We love Brent Venables. We want to see him succeed because of the person that he is.
I totally agree with that. I'll let Hank move us on here to the big question next. But seeing him at SEC Media Days, our mother went to Clemson. She's a big Clemson Tiger. So Brent Venables, for all those years, right, it was at Clemson, and, of course, brought them national championships as a defensive coordinator. Love Brent Venables, seeing him at SEC Media Days. Every time I see him, he's so poised. He's super kind. And then he starts talking football, and you're like, I want to run through a wall for that guy. Yeah. And he reminds me too. I'm not a cartoon guy, but he reminds me of the Crimson Chin. Every time it's just a chiseled jaw, just like, man, like that guy is a linebacker. That is a football defensive coordinator without a doubt. If God made one in a lab, it's Brent Venables.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I for the record, I think it's a worthy extension too. I think there's, at this day and age, there's no shame in that or no reason to. I think he's proven enough. And I think this is going to be a big year. So we can start talking about 2026. So there's a lot of guys returning off of a playoff team a year ago, right? Obviously headlined by Mateer. It'll be his second year on campus. Arbuckle's second year in Norman as the OC. And I know that, the defense, like you said, is something you can really bank on these days with Venables. So I'm curious, what do you feel like is the biggest question mark for this team when, honestly, from my perspective, like, I don't love to give Oklahoma a bunch of props, but I'm looking at this, roster preseason, and I'm like, I don't know where all the holes are. So what's your biggest question mark?
Go first.
I mean, I feel like ours are going to be the same answer, but our biggest question mark does run on, like, pretty much offense in general. But if you want to get more specific, ours is, can we run the freaking ball? Like, it comes, like we talked about last year. We talked about it when we had you guys, just Alex on our show, that everything is easier when you can run the ball. And our offense last year was, hey, John, make something happen.
Yeah.
And he had to do that with a banged up knee and a thumb that was barely hanging on that they were trying to fix. But so if we can run the football, that just opens up so many other things for us. And that offensive line has to be healthy. And Chad gets mad that every year we're in the fall camp and an offensive lineman gets hurt, which we did have an injury, but hopefully it wasn't not season ending. But it's just like, why can't we stay healthy there? Because that is where your offense, everything runs through there. And so that's not healthy. If that's not a unit, that's not together, then congratulations, we're back to John make something work. So my biggest question mark will be, can they work together? Can they take that next step? Because they also are very young. And then can we run the ball? I'm going to pick up my son. Okay.
Go ahead. For everybody who didn't hear us pre-show, Drake is hanging out with the Sooner Smiths there tonight.
And he's
Chad
got some
Tierani.
questions. He's questioning the 2026 team.
There he is.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
No, I echo that too. For me, I guess if it's not the run game, it'd be, just a stat for everybody that loves football out here. Since 2007, every national champion, but except for LSU, has ran for at least 165 yards or more average. LSU, if you take LSU out of it, that's around 180, and the majority have ran for over 200 a game. Oklahoma had averaged 113, I think, last year. So it's one of those. It's something that you have to do. I think branches off of that problem where you look, as much as we loved Jaron Kanik and as much as we thought he was a tough player, it's hard to transition a linebacker that's 6'3", 240 to play tight end in the SEC and think you're going to be successful at running the ball. It just is. That place was that position group especially was reaped with injury. So you go out, you get Jason Witten, you get Tyler Hansen, Jack Van Dorseller, and Rocky Beers. All guys that are 6'4" and above, but Hanson's massive and from Florida, and you're hoping that transitions into something. Now, how does that work out? I don't know. And Jason Witten's in his first year as a coach. I feel like he knows how to coach the tight end position, but you never know until they coach it. But you feel like he has at least an understanding of the position. They are, for my money, they're in the best position that any Oklahoma's offense has been in since Venables has been here, which may not be saying much, but the 2023 offense was pretty good with Gabriel and those guys. To be a really, really good offense. You want to see it on the field, but yeah, the running game for me is the number one. And then off of that, just how do the tight ends add levels to our offense that we just didn't have last year? I mean, we couldn't go 12 personnel. Like, we'd be 4th and 1 and have to go 4 wide because we just don't have 2 tight ends we could line. And that just kills you. It kills you just in play action. It kills you on boot, everything. And you just can't. Like, my dad is I always say, like, he comes on our show sometimes, but he was a 30-year head defensive coordinator. He coached at Oklahoma. He's coached every level but NFL. And he's like, Chad, you can't be good in offense without tight ends. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, the good. And if you watch like a Lincoln Riley, a Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, they're so good at maneuvering tight ends and mismatching because they're just, if you get one that's athletic enough, they're just an impossible matchup. And they add just levels to your offense that we just have been lacking forever. So that's the position I'm excited about for sure. What's up, bud?
I'm with you there. The running game is fast. I mean, it's Oklahoma, right? Like, this is all day. This is Adrian Peterson. This is a school that has had running back after running back after running back in their history. DeMarco Murray, right? Like, let's go all the way. There's many, many running backs in that Sooner history. That place should be running for 175 to 200 yards a game on every single team they play. So that actually brings me in. We can build on this here. Those were your question marks. With those question marks in mind, and also what you know about what Oklahoma has bringing in, also what they brought in, say, wide receiver, right? Brought in Parker Livingstone, brought in Trell Harris, the leading receiver for Virginia. And then John Mateer's coming back, and he's healthy. Right, everybody's expecting John Mateer to take another step here. Arbuckle's in his second year at offensive coordinator, having learned SEC defenses for a year. So what are your expectations now for the Sooner offense going in to 2026?
Want to go before he starts that?
I mean, my expectations are just, we've said too, we were not a good offense last year. We made the playoff. If our offense can be average, if we could be middle of the pack, the sky's the limit with the way that we know the defense is going to be under Venables. So I think it's going to be better than average. If you're hoping everybody stays healthy, Mateer, obviously your quarterback, your line stays healthy, and the run game and the tight ends develop as they should. I'm really excited to watch them play. I know the first game is UTEP, but you can tell even in the small teams, like, what your team is going to be. And I'm excited to watch them. I definitely think they have the sky's the limit type thing with them. Maybe not a 2019 LSU, but I mean, we don't need
awesome.
that with our defense. So it'd be nice though.
Yeah,
don't
I
need
think
it.
I think just having some identity of a run game, saying that look, there's I don't care if it's running back by committee or if it's rush game by committee. I believe that they will find a way to be more consistent running the ball. I think John is naturally going to be in that equation a little bit because they like the run the quarterback so much because of the threat it adds. But to take off of his plate, not only are you taking off of his plate stress about running the ball, but the hit, the impact, the risk of injury that goes with that on top of it. So John not having to do it all, and T was right. There was a point where it was funny to me because John was doing so well, and he was on the Heisman list and all that. And then I don't know how difficult it is to play quarterback in the SEC, but I can only imagine it's that much harder when you have 3 titanium screws put in your thumb mid-season. And so it reminded a lot of the OU fans, I should say, of the Baker Mayfield Browns issue, because Baker was doing great. He's doing fantastic. Then he breaks the left side of his body, and the Browns fans were like, why is Baker not as good? And it's like, when you get injured, you're not going to be the same player. And you can see it. I mean, John's average John's average air yards per pass went from 9 to like 6 after that injury. I mean, it was prevalent. They were trying to get rid of the ball more quickly. So I expect them to be a lot better offensively. A lot better, sadly, wouldn't mean you're that great compared to what we were last year. But like T said, just if you can not put your defense in a position that they are going to need to get they're giving short fields up, or if he can just make solid decisions and realize, like Cignetti has this thing where he says there's really 4 ways you lose games, and that's, bad penalties, egregious missed assignments, turnovers, and special teams mistakes. And like we go back to the Alabama game and we hit all 4 of them. And it's just, if you can keep from doing that, especially as John at the quarterback, learning to take a loss, learning as good as you were at Washington State, I think a couple times, and this goes to Ben Arbuckle too, some of that, the play calls and some of that hero ball doesn't work when you're against the kind of athletes that are at, like A&M and those kind of schools coming up. So I think learning that for him is massive, and the offense, I think, is just going to be that much better because of his experience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I like all those things that y'all are saying. I love what you brought up about the tight ends earlier. And I love the idea, Tierani, that you brought up that, like, hey, if we could just be average, like this thing would be really dangerous. It's like the expectations are high, certainly, but at the same time, they don't have to be 2019 LSU on offense to get it done because the defense is so good. So we'll switch over to the other side of the ball here. I mean, like, I want to ask you what your expectations are for the defense, but I know you expect it to be really, really good. So I wonder if I can phrase this in a way, I guess, what are you most excited about, assuming this is likely going to be a top 10 defense? Is there a couple guys on the defensive side of the ball or a specific unit that you look at and think, okay, this is what I'm excited to watch on Saturday?
I will say I have an expectation this year, and I'll let Chad get into the names because he gets much more into that. My expectation this year is to not wait 6 games to have a turnover. We should be getting those pretty regularly, because last year, I mean, we literally went crazy when we got our first turnover because it was that late in the season. So despite the fact that we were having this incredible defense, they were not getting turnovers, and they had chances. It was like they just couldn't catch a tip ball, or you would drop the interception, or the fumble, you just would kick it away. Whatever it was, they weren't getting the turnovers. And we did say, when turnovers come, they come in masses, and they did, and it really helped us down that red November stretch that we had. But you can't wait that long. You gotta get off at the start and get that iron hot, because you can't wait that long. You're 6 games in, you're already 3 deep in the SEC now this year. So
yeah.
So definitely have to, that's an expectation that I have, that they got to turn the ball over earlier.
Yeah, I think in terms of names, I mean, this is the first year where Oklahoma has had at every position, you can make a case it's the strongest part of the defense. It's you look at the defensive line and linebackers, and you think all the returners they have, the names are getting David Stones. But I would argue the secondary and corners are, I mean, Oklahoma legit has 2 freshman All-American that were freshman All-Americans, in Eli Bowen, Cortland Guillory last year. And they're back, and they're that much more experienced. They're both extremely talented, really, really fast guys. But for me, I think the two I'm most excited to see play are certainly David Stone, and then a guy that came on our show, Kip Lewis, big Star Wars fan, by the way. It's funny talking to him. Yeah, big time. He's number 10, obviously, on the defense. He's a guy that when we play A&M, you'll see him running around. He's the energy guy for the team, but he's unbelievably good. And he's at a point, he said, it was interesting when we talked to him that, you play so much faster when you're not thinking and you're just reacting. And he goes, in BB's defense, that can take you a while to get it all. There are a lot of them, though. The defense is finally full of guys that not only played for BB, but he recruited. So they've been with him for 4 years. They've been through all of the games. They understand all of the changes that he might make, that might come in a game. They're comfortable. And because they're comfortable, they're more relaxed. When you're more relaxed, you think more quickly. And David Stone is certainly a guy that I think is someone that's going to be up for a Defensive Player of the Year award or one of those. But another one, Kip Lewis as well. Our linebacking core is full of guys. Owen Heineke, if you followed the drama with him in the offseason. I hated the injunctions. They were dumb. They're great when it happens for us, though. So that's one of those.
Yeah.
So I was happy he's back. And
different
then
scenario.
yeah, ours was right. Ours was right. The other ones were totally wrong.
Everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, everyone else is wrong. Yeah. But a guy that has made, if you were to talk to the insiders, the guys that get to go to the SEC media days and stuff, Cole Sullivan from Michigan has been someone who has really made a lot of people, to use the word excited. Obviously the size and all that, 6'4", 230, but had like a 40-inch broad jump or 40-inch vertical and like a 10-foot broad jump or something crazy a freakish athlete, and has apparently already picked up the defense really quickly. He's impressed Brent Venables with all of the work he has done. There's a lot of guys. Danny Okoye is going to be on the edge, so he'll take the place, and PJ Adebarawa, which, fantastic job by me saying that name correctly.
I know.
Yeah, wow. Pat yourself on the back.
He's pretty good at that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's impressive.
They're two guys that are going to try to take the R. Mason Thomas side. Obviously, have Taylor Wine, 44 on the other. I could go through all of them and say I'm excited to see them, but they have David Stone is going to get a lot of the headlines. Kip Lewis as well.
I remember when I did the biscuit rating for Oklahoma, doing that, just going through these names and being, just not sure. Like, hey, I know this defense is going to be good. It's Brent Venables. I know they were good last year. I know they lost a lot too. And then I start going through it. I start reading more from the Sooner forums and from some like Sooner Scoop and some of these other, sites that cover the Sooners. And I was like, oh, they're going to be incredible. Like this whole defense is just like top to bottom. Like, oh, great. As an Aggie fan, like, oh, can't wait to see you guys late in the season,
If I could add one last part of that, I think the one issue, if you're concerned at all, or if you have a question for the defense, what made them really good last year was the defensive line had so much depth with Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton, and a guy in Marcus Strong, who now transferred to Clemson. But obviously Dominic Williams, Arizona Cardinals, and Grayson Halton's with the 49ers. And just made a couple great plays on preseason. So there is some questions on how do you replace that depth, because what OU was able to just sub off Grayson Halton for a David Stone or a Jaden Jackson or Dominic Williams to come in, and that makes you obviously you don't explain why depth makes you better, but that's the question I think if for Oklahoma fans for the defense, if you're gonna what is your worry? I guess the depth on the defensive line.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. Well, I'm glad to hear that you guys are struggling with depth, and maybe that's the one thing that you have a chink in the armor with for the Oklahoma defense.
To be fair, we don't know if we are struggling with depth. We said
that's true. Maybe you're not. That's true.
Right.
So, all right, Chad, you just gave me a bunch of names. Let's drill down here on just some players to watch out for. You give me a bunch on the defense there. You can go offense or defense here, or just highlight somebody. I'm really thinking about. Those of us, right, we're Aggies. A lot of our viewers are all across the SEC. So, those outside of Sooner Nation who maybe a name or two that maybe is somebody who's like flashed in camp, right? Somebody who is off the beaten path, off the radar a little bit, who may be somebody who by week 4, we're looking up at the TV screen and we're like, oh my God, like who is that guy? Yeah.
I'll let Chad take this one because he was very excited when I read this question to you. He was like, this guy. And this guy,
I got him.
I'll just let you go ahead and do that. Like, I was like, I'm with you, but you're more passionate about it.
Fair enough.
So I'll start off with offensive line, and then I'll move to the positions that you're going to notice more on TV, I guess. A guy named Noah Best, obviously Jake Maikula, a center for our team, or our starting center that came back, got injured, and practice. It was a kind of a freak thing, but he's expected to be back. It's not a season-ending injury, thank goodness. Noah Best is a true freshman, 6'4", 320. Apparently the strongest guy on the team already. Dad's like a crazy power lifter. He's benching like 450 and squatting over 600. And Gabe Eicher, Teddy Lehman. Gabe Eicher played in the NFL, was a Warfel Award winner at Oklahoma, first team All-American, played in the NFL. He and Teddy Lehman do a podcast called the Oklahoma Breakdown. And Gabe goes out there and watches the offensive line. And to set the stage, Gabe's hypercritical O-line. Like, he's always like, why are they not doing this? They need to do this. Their techniques, blah, blah. And it's Bill Bedenbaugh coaching them. So it's like, they'll probably figure it out. But he comes back on the show and he goes, I watched all of practice. He goes, Noah Best might be the most technically sound and most physically gifted lineman we have. And he's a true freshman. So, and you hear that from the Sooner Scoops, from the guys going to practice and reporting that he's playing guard right now, center, and they're trying to find ways to get him on the field. I think the worry is, how do you adjust to the speed of the game and whatnot? But, he's going up against Stone and Jane Jackson every day, so he's getting good experience. At the skill positions, that you'll notice. So, Isaiah Satania's, obviously Trell Harris that came from Virginia. Those guys are there. But I think one name, Elijah Thomas, number 14, was a guy from Chakota, Oklahoma, home of Carrie Underwood. And small town. So he played really small football, but was the Oklahoma Gatorade Player of the Year when he graduated. 6'4", built like one of those receivers built like in a lab. And he has been a guy that a lot of Oklahoma fans are excited about, and has apparently just been doing great things in practice and in the spring camp or fall camp. So that's someone I'm really thinking, I'm excited about that. If there's a guy that I'm hoping is making people say, who was that? It's a guy, because I feel like that means the pass game is going well. Hopefully that is a result of the run game being good. In the run game, last one that I'll say, we have a true freshman running back, Jonathan Hatton Jr., 6'2", 239 pounds. This is where I know that I'm a human, but it's where like there's levels to it. So 6'2", 239. He ran on, those little like things they wear. Like
the catapults.
20, I believe 22.7 miles an hour sprint. There wasn't a running back in college football last year that weighed over 230 that clocked at 22.7. He would have been the 10th fastest time in a game. And this was like in their scrimmage when he did this too. It'd have been the 10th fastest time in a game in which someone would have ran that fast. And he's that big. Now, I don't know if the chip malfunctioned. I don't know what happened.
But you also said Isaiah Satania said he's the fastest guy.
Isaiah Satania, I'm about to say, who is the fastest guy on our team right now. Mom was an Olympic sprinter. Dad's a Division I track coach. I think at A&M maybe. Or some. Well, no, maybe LSU. I don't know.
No, there was some, or maybe it was Arkansas.
Maybe
he flipped from A&M to Arkansas. Okay. I think because his dad was Arkansas coach. I think that's right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, just built obviously the genetics to be a good sprinter. Isaiah Satania, the first thing he said is, "Yeah, the Jonathan Hatton kid, he's big. He's like one of the fastest guys on the team." And they were like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, he like runs with the receivers and all of like the corners, all of us." They're like, "What?" Now, people can be fast and big. How does that correlate to being a running back? There's different, really you want blitz pickup. Does he understand that? Does he understand the blocking assignment? But those are two guys that I hope are big names, or three that by the time, 4 or 5 games in, you're like, those guys are, OU's got some young studs that they're going to have for a few years now.
My answer to that was jokingly, basically any running back, because we haven't had a run game in so long. So whether it is like a Torrey Blaylock or Xavier Robinson, sure, their names, but not like their names.
Yeah.
You just like know them because they played. So I was just excited to hopefully any run game.
I was going to say, maybe you finally found that running back that's going to bring back that legacy of OU running backs.
Oh, wait, can I give you a credit here for saying AD and not AP? Golly, there's nothing more annoying when people say Adrian Peterson and they go AP. And I'm like,
Thank you. Chad, you're a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the record, please.
For the record.
I would like that show. I know it's AD and not AP.
All day. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, that's great. Those are some good names. I'm going to file those away because I'd not heard either one of those names. The last two that you mentioned there, Jonathan Hatton and the wideout. So good to get those locked away, and excited to see them hopefully making some plays on Saturday. So I'm curious here. Again, I think we've been talking a lot about it. You all seem excited, as you should be. The expectations are high at Oklahoma this fall. What do you all think is a successful season, right? You got to the playoff a year ago. Do you need to get back? Do you need to win a game? Do you want to win more than a game? Walk me through, what you're feeling like means success in your eyes.
Natty.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely think that the expectation is to make it back to a college football playoff, and you have to win a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm torn on, like, people are like, oh, OU's never won a playoff game. I'm like, but you've never made one. So like a lot of teams that are coming like at you are like haven't even made one. So it's kind of like that. I mean, sure, it's you can make fun of us, but however, like I think that's always the expectation, especially now with the playoff. It is to make the playoff, and it is to win playoff games, and it is to compete for a national championship. I just think that this year the team that Brent Venables should be fielding has the best shot of any of his teams to make that and to actually make a run. So that is, I mean, I'm not saying my expectation is a natty, but I'm an Oklahoma fan, so every year we say that. So it should be, but it's definitely to make the playoff. I would consider that a successful season. But then I do know that our schedule is hard. So it kind of fares on, I guess, how well other teams are that we're playing against. But I would say successful seasons playoff, but that's me.
No, yeah, I would say playoff, and I would say, yeah, minimum year, your minimum would be to win one game at least. There is I would hate to say fatigue because it's not like we've been in the playoff every year, but there's an annoyance from OU fans that you get there and you lose. Part of that is, look, it is especially made it worse whenever Texas got in and played the school of the blind and another school, and we got 2019 LSU and we got 2020 Alabama, all those, and you're just like, okay, well, at some point, like, I mean, we should have won the Georgia game, sure. We should have, but Clemson was pretty good when they had Deshaun Watson.
We should have beat Alabama, but it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year.
Yeah, don't throw. Right. But that, we should have won last year, absolutely. Yeah, but for me, I'm trying to temper expectations, but also there is a belief that I think they're going to be really, really good, because I do think Rambo Mateer is a good quarterback, and I think that he was showing that. When you get injured, it's hard because he's not going. They're always going to hide how much that really hurts you. And I come from the belief, I think athletes in a little bit like to say they have a little bit of an excuse, like, look, I was injured a little bit, so maybe he's not going to have that this year, and I'm interested to see how that's going to pan out. And for him, having a run game, having what I believe he'll have in terms of weapons that he didn't have last year, where he just had really an Isaiah Satania. You mentioned Livingston. He was another guy that they're really excited about in camp, and that's done really well. I'd expect them to be at least more than serviceable on offense. I expect them to at least get to the playoff. I mean, you expect to be the best or to win it all? Sure. I mean, I don't know if I would say I expect it, but if I guess I could say I expect them to win more than 7.5 games, but I don't know. I would say a playoff minimum, and to win at least 1 or 2 in the playoff is my expectation.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's a good segue here into, and I'll warn you here, we like a good schedule reveal here at Biscuits and SEC. We don't do these generic, bland-looking schedules. We've got some really cool ones that we made, and I'll show you right here. This is John Rambo Mateer, based on his off-season weightlifting program, because all those pictures that came out had Twitter going nuts of like, oh my gosh, this quarterback is absolutely jacked. So we decided to make him look like Rambo in Vietnam for this.
That's awesome.
So I got 2 questions for you guys. Chad, I think you pretty much just answered my first one, which is, do you guys think over and under on the 7.5? For my money, I think it's easy money going over, but I want to know if you guys think over or under. And then I also want to know, looking at this schedule here, give me a hinge game. Is there a game in here where you look at the schedule and you're like, all right, we win this one and we are rolling, we've got momentum, and I feel really good about this team going forward? Or is there, we lose this game and, oh boy, like this could be a worse season than we expected?
Oh boy. Well, over for sure.
There you go.
Yeah, we've said that several times. We're definitely the over. I think it may have changed since.
I think so.
Or is this from today? Like, did you check this today?
We did not check. We did not check this today. No.
Yeah,
I think it's 7.5.
Okay. Well, regardless, yeah, no.
The money line changed, but it's still 7.5.
Gotcha. Definitely the over. For me, I don't have, my thought process with that question was, I actually really am excited for the Georgia game. Yeah. And this is why. Georgia to me is the standard right now in college football. And you always want to see how you rank to the standard. how you perform against the standard and how you perform against the standard at their home. So if you win that game, obviously you're in a really good spot. If you lose that game, how do you lose it? Are you still in a good spot? Are you still, did you lose by a field goal? Did you lose by, single digits? Like, how did that game go? Or did you get embarrassed? And for me, that's the game that I feel like that can kind of define, I don't want to say define your season, but it can. I look forward to going up against the best, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Chad's got another thoughtful answer. We were talking about this one over dinner.
I think week 1 is your. No, I'm kidding. With all respect to our friends at Utah, the Miners. I hate to use Michigan back-to-back years, but I think I'm going to say Michigan, and I say that for a couple reasons. One is that game. It's a team that is going to have talent that is at least on the defensive line side of the ball and on defense comparable to what you'll see in the SEC. I want to see our offense be able to perform and be serviceable and also consistently moving the ball down the field. There's also an element where I think come time to the playoff committee making picks to get in, you need to have wins over the Big Ten because you're not going to get another chance to play them and you don't know what their season will look like. And the lack of depth or in the Big Ten makes me worried if you lose that game. You think, well, dang, because I think we're a better team than Michigan this year. I think they're still about a year away, especially with a new head coach. But it's a game where you think it's a good opponent at the Big House, one of the premier venues in college football, and against a team that has the big name quarterback, a lot of guys coming back that are really good players, and it's a solid opponent in week 2. But it can catapult you into if you can run the ball and be confident and be successful against them. I think it really gives confidence to go forward and go to Georgia and eventually go play Texas and say, look, we've done it against teams that have or against Michigan, who already is big up front, can stop the run, and can take you to a place like Georgia or Texas and win that game. Texas is always the answer that most OU fans go with, but you win or lose that game. We had talked about on our show about could a 9-3 team get in the playoff? Could that ever happen? I think if it was going to, you would have to. You need to beat Michigan because you need a big win over a non-con opponent, and you also need, if you're going to lose it like a Texas, Georgia, and I don't know if A&M's good at the end of the year, say A&M or Florida if they're good, whatever people are saying. But say you have 3 wins and those 3 teams are pretty good, all top 10 teams.
Losses.
3 losses, yeah. Sorry, and all top 10 teams. You're going to have to get not only a win in non-con, but I think you got to dominate the other games. I think what hurt Texas is the Kentucky double overtime, barely winning that game when Kentucky was horrible. Barely winning Mississippi State too, but the Kentucky one was almost inexcusable. I mean, they were bad, and Texas looked really, really bad. And Mississippi State, they're not. It's weird. Mississippi State's always. It's kind of like another Arkansas. They're never great, but they always have like a couple guys where you're like, that dude's a dude. Like Brendan Thompson was like one of the only 1,000-yard receivers in the SEC last year, and you're like, dang. But the Kentucky loss really hurt them. So I think you really have to dominate the other opponents to do that. And if you lose to Michigan, and Michigan goes on and loses to, I believe they play Indiana this next year, because I think Indiana plays Ohio State then Michigan like back-to-back weeks or one of those, or Oregon, something like that.
And Indiana's got a rough one, yeah. It's like all of them, yeah.
I just think it makes it tough because, especially when you get into that, there's going to be the talk of the Big Ten, SEC, and it's going to be that, well, Michigan went to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's where they are, and they beat them, or didn't go to Oklahoma, but played Oklahoma. So for me, the Michigan game is the one that I look to really catapult our season.
I like it. I think those are both fair answers. And I just love the Big Ten SEC. You want to go on the road and beat the Big Ten team. We like that here.
I used to complain about the SEC bias until we got in the conference. Now I'm like, yeah, you dang right there is.
Oh, we know. We remember. We have not forgotten about that and the Texas fans.
No, we have a wedding. We have a wedding that weekend, week 2, and we will be streaming and hate watching come 6:30 on September the 12th.
I told my friend that's getting married, I was like, you might be hearing Lee Corso saying, or Curb Street saying, we're live in Austin. Right. I actually
right,
down real fast.
In the back of the room, yeah.
I know. It's like, let's go Buckeyes.
Big Ten, don't care.
Yeah, don't care.
Don't care.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, well, thank y'all so much for joining us. We've got one final question before we'll get y'all out of here. We're Biscuits and SEC. We love SEC football and biscuits, so we cannot get you out of here without asking y'all your favorite biscuit. Could be a restaurant or a homemade recipe, whatever you're feeling. I know y'all are OKC based, could be in Norman, could be super local to you. So let us know what's your favorite biscuit or your go-to biscuit.
You go first. You want to pick?
So the thing is, I don't like biscuits.
Oh no.
What do you like? French toast? I mean, give us something.
She likes
I don't
bread
like
and
it.
water for
It's
breakfast.
so
It's an
stupid.
unbelievable thing.
Oh, one of those. I got
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Oh my gosh, let me look. No, I used to not really even care for pancakes. Then I got pregnant, and pancakes were delicious.
I didn't know. I'm just kidding.
But
We'll take it.
We have pretty much the same answer because if you're gonna get breakfast,
Well,
did
hold
you
on.
change your answer?
Well, no, we're going to give it the proper respect it deserves.
Okay, I'll let him do it because he's
Thank
way
you.
more excited about breakfast.
118 miles south of our current location.
Okay.
You go if you need to drive to Dallas, you're going right by it. It's Prairie Kitchen, operated and run by Phil Tabor, former Oklahoma great. Everyone national champion, made great plays in the Red River, played in the NFL. The only thing better in his career at OU were the biscuits and gravy he has in that place. They're unbelievable.
Oh.
They have a heart. You know, the biscuit is soft and fluttery on the inside, a little bit of crunch on the outside. The gravy's unbelievable, not runny but not too thick. I can't explain enough
I will say, as someone who
what it's
doesn't
for. I mean, how good it
care
is.
for biscuits or gravy, they're solid.
You got to get them, and it's one of those things where almost a guilty pleasure because you pair that up with a good French twins. So you get the French toast, you get a side of sunny side eggs, and then you get also another 450 calories, the biscuits and gravy. Now you're already eating 5,000 with the French toast, but you go there knowing you're good for 2.5 days, and that's what I like doing. It is unbelievable. Great. I mean, it's just if you ever are in like the Dallas or like driving up for whatever reason and you go to Oklahoma City, Prairie Kitchen, Ardmore,
Right off the
Oklahoma
highway.
is
You can't miss it.
unbelievable.
It's really good.
Got it.
Yeah.
Man, I'm writing that one down. Prairie
That's
Kitchen
right.
on my
Prairie
way up
Kitchen.
to Red River.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I will check that one out. I thought too that you might be taking me to like the red light district in Paris there with the French twins or whatever you said, whatever the name of that
No.
dish is.
No.
I was like, what-
Those wouldn't be
where are we
nearly as
going
good.
with this? No, that's true.
Or as
That's
no, I
true.
almost made a terrible joke. All right, I was on to you, Ted. Look.
Perfect. I'm making the terrible jokes for you, so it's time to wrap. Y'all, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Everybody, if you do not follow them yet, Chad and Tierani, Sooner Smith's podcast, Voice of College Football. You can check out all their social media right there. Take a screenshot, a picture lasts longer. You guys can go follow them for all their Sooners coverage. So thank you guys. Good luck to the Sooners this year. Boomer, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us, Boomer.
Yep. And shout out to Drake.
Hey.